Good evening, community. Good evening, community. Thank you so much for your attendance this evening. I received the word regarding tonight's pre-registration and the level of participants, and I was immediately excited and very pleased. To me, that indicates that this community cares, is concerned, and they have a desire for the best that this community can be. So we all understand the importance of this opportunity, and we all have high hopes for our future. But it's not just tonight. The level of participation throughout the entire process has been outstanding. I've had the honor of being your alderman for the last 6 years. And ever since that very first meeting, I knew that we were going to do something great, something transformative, which brings us here today. And as we continue to get closer and closer to the development, to the end of the plan, to the final recommendations, I'm proud to proclaim that since the beginning, the community has been at the forefront. It started with the community at the forefront, and it's going to end with the community at the forefront. Hard work, thoughtfulness, creativity, and most of all, collaboration is how we have been successful and how we will continue to operate as a community. It takes leadership to organize, commitment, the ability to present and accept ideas, and most important, the ability to listen to the community. Our leaders were accessible, they were available, accountable to ensure a successful planning process. So we will have a vibrant, healthy, and successful community. So I have to give a prodigious thank you to Walnut Way and Antonio Butts, a prodigious thank you to Melanie and Danelle over at Metcalfe Park and Community Bridges, and a prodigious thank you to Amani and Sister Rogers and her staff in Midtown as well, but also DCD. They deserve enormous thank you and much gratitude and appreciation because they planned properly, they listened properly, they cooperated, and most of all, they understood that a community should be built and planned by the people who live there. Our district is on fire right now, community. We have the momentum, we have the leadership, and we have the active and vibrant participants in this community. Not a day goes by that I don't get some type of proposal, some type of text, email about somebody wanting to do something in the 15th district. So tonight, please participate to the hilt. Please plan with fervor and creativity. Please continue to get to know your neighbors and build a relationship with your neighbors. And most of all, enjoy yourself as we come together to build a vibrant, safe, and healthy community. Thank you so much. This is your Alderman, Russell Stamper II. I'd like to turn it over to DCD. I'm looking forward to tonight, and I'm looking forward to the future. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alderman Stamper. Thank you. Good evening. I hope everyone is staying warm and safe tonight. I'm Monica Watts-Smith. I'm one of the project managers for the study. I'm joined also by my colleague, Kyle Gast, who is one of the other project managers. Thank you for spending part of your evening with us. We're excited to share the progress that's been made. Just so you know how this meeting is going to flow, here's the agenda. We heard from Alderman Stamper, and now we're going to do a brief presentation just to review our progress to date and some of the upcoming milestones. Then the bulk of the meeting is really going to be spent in breakout rooms organized by the 4 different neighborhoods to review the draft recommendations. We need your feedback and local expertise before we start to finalize this plan later in the spring. And then we'll end by reporting out by neighborhood on what people think will make the most meaningful impact on their neighborhoods and what their priorities are. Next slide. I'd like to introduce our community partners at the Dominican Center, Metcalfe Park Community Bridges, and Walnut Way. They've been working alongside us on this plan to shape the engagement and to provide initial feedback as we've developed the materials. We hope that this planning effort can help build off of their own efforts that they've been, that are underway. And if you all don't mind just introducing yourselves very briefly, starting with Sister Patricia and then Melody and Antonio.
Sister Patricia Rogers, and I'm with the Dominican Center, and really proud and happy of the work that CDC has done with the community. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Melody McCurtis, the Deputy Director / Organizer at Metcalfe Park Community Bridges. I look forward to having this discussion with all of you beautiful folks on this call right now. And thank y'all for just joining us tonight. Appreciate y'all. I'm going to turn it over to Antonio.
Thanks, Melody. I'm Antonio Butts with Walnut Way. On behalf of the staff and board, we'd just like to express our appreciation to DCD and Alderman Stamper for making sure that this was a community-centered effort.
Okay, thank you. Next slide. Just for a little bit of background, the area included within this plan is bounded by Burleigh to the north, I-43 to the east, Galena and Bleach to the south, and roughly 38th Street and the 30th Street Rail Corridor to the west. This area includes all or part of 4 very distinct neighborhoods: Amani, Lindsay Heights, Midtown, and Metcalfe Park, as well as part of some smaller parts of other neighborhoods like Walnut Hill and Sherman Park. Next slide, please. And then the big question, what is an area plan and why is it important? This document is used by DCD, other city departments, developers, community groups to help guide land use decisions. For example, we look at this plan whenever there's a proposed zoning change or city real estate is in play or there's city financing at work. We review this plan to make sure it's consistent with the area plan. We consider these plans when making major infrastructure investments, like reconstructing a road, a new park, or building a bike trail. These plans can help garner grants and get money towards implementation of the recommendations. And most importantly, an area plan really ensures the early and ongoing public engagement of the residents living in the neighborhood. There's a lot of steps that go into creating an area plan. We started this study off with a market analysis to make sure that we understood the market, the residential and commercial side of things. We analyzed existing conditions, demographics, and future trends. And we held visioning sessions with the local community. This all happens before we synthesize this all into a draft plan, which is the next step following this meeting. This has been roughly an 18-month process, and we're nearing the end. We're here in workshop number 3. We started in the summer of 2019 and will conclude later this spring. Many of you attended previous community meetings in person. Unfortunately, now we're all virtual. But thank you for coming back, and we hope that you'll be able to see some of your comments reflected in the materials tonight. As I mentioned, the first 2 meetings that we've had were really about establishing the common goals and the different ways to achieve those goals, the different kind of alternatives. This meeting is really going to focus on the draft recommendations, and we need your feedback, your local expertise on whether this gives the direction for you, what you want to see in your neighborhood in terms of the land use, the development patterns, transportation and transit, parks and recreational space. We've worked closely, not only hosting public meetings, but also having an online survey, focus groups. We attended, again, back in the pre-COVID days, we attended community events like Harvest Day, the Holiday Resource Fair with Metcalfe and Amani, attended some of the commercial corridor groups with Lindsay Heights, and coordinated with stakeholders. So it's really a big effort because the city feels this is very important to have everyone included and involved. Next slide, please. And then I'm going to turn it over to Kyle.
Thanks, Monica. So in a moment, we will be breaking up into groups by neighborhood, as Monica mentioned. But before we do that, I just wanted to give you all a quick run through of some of the bigger concepts in the plan. I'm going to go through this very quickly, and we don't have a lot of time for detail, but we really want to spend most of the time in the groups. So if you have questions come up as we're going through these, please bring them up in your groups. The first few slides I'll run through are really kind of addressing streets and open spaces. And the first concept is rapid implementation safety projects, which are quick, low-cost changes to streets using paint and temporary bollards to improve the safety of the roadway for all users. So this strategy allows us to make changes more quickly and to test out traffic calming strategies without having to wait until a street's ready to be fully reconstructed. The next big idea is to create a connected, low-stress bike network using enhanced bike lanes, off-street trails, and bike boulevards, which are really just local residential streets that are designed to create a bike and pedestrian-friendly environment by further slowing down traffic on those already kind of bike and friendly streets. Transit corridor street improvements are changes to the street that make transit use more user-friendly. And these can include things like better bus shelters and better waiting areas on some of the most highly used routes and stops. We also want to recommend strategic investments in parks and open spaces throughout the area and allow for more spaces to be created in the future. And finally, really taking a look at improving vacant lots on a broad scale, primarily by planting trees. And so that way we can beautify neighborhoods and increase the tree canopy. So the next few slides include some themes more related to housing and neighborhood development. First, we want to redouble our efforts at promoting home ownership in the area. Everyone has said this is very important. We also want to take significant steps to encourage more renovation of existing homes. And then also one strategy that many community members have identified to keep homeownership affordable is by creating neighborhood-based community land trusts. And this is really going to be a key recommendation in the plan. We also want to promote a variety of new housing types by allowing more flexibility in what can be built in some areas. So this includes identifying more places that could be appropriate for townhomes or small multifamily buildings in addition to just single family and duplex. And finally, we want to invest in our commercial corridors to support and grow our existing businesses and to attract new businesses. So those are some of the major themes that carry across each of the neighborhoods in the plan area. I do want to quickly go over just a few of the more exciting projects that we've identified, which are more location specific. First off, we will continue to focus our efforts for new single family home construction in the city subdivisions like Josie Heights and Walnut Circle, and potentially add a couple more as those get filled up. This will help us to establish the market for more widespread single family infill throughout the area. The Eco Main Street. So North Avenue in Lindsay Heights is the spine of the city's first eco neighborhood. And the plan will recommend that when it is time to reconstruct North Avenue, that it should be done in a manner that highlights environmental sustainability through the addition of trees and green infrastructure to kind of reinforce that theme for the neighborhood. North Division Plaza. So just north of North Division High School and also across Teutonia from Coffee Makes You Black, there are a couple spaces that are actually designated as public pedestrian malls. And we think that these could be great opportunities for new active public spaces. And the pedestrian mall on Center Street in particular is adjacent to a very large development site where redevelopment could help to activate the spaces and could help to fund potential improvements there. North-South transit enhancement. So there's a study currently underway to look at enhanced regional transit along the 27th Street corridor. And this is a great opportunity to better connect the area to the rest of the region, but also presents an opportunity to create new affordable housing along the corridor. And that will help us to maximize the benefit of this investment in public transit. Library Square. So this is 27th Street, Center Street, and Fond du Lac Avenue. Those are three of the most dangerous streets in the area. And where they all intersect is a good place for one of those rapid implementation safety projects that I mentioned earlier. One idea to further enhance the intersection is to layer on top of that community art, both in the public way, as well as in open spaces adjacent to the street. And this will help to add some neighborhood identity and visual interest to the area and will further slow traffic. Marketplace Trail. So the Fondy Farmers Market is only a 20-minute walk from the Deer District and the proposed site of the new public museum that will be built in a few years in downtown. So the Marketplace Trail is simply the idea of connecting the heart of the neighborhood to the heart of the city through an enhanced pedestrian and bicycle experience along this route. The area around the farmers market is just one of several places where we think allowing some flexibility for different housing types, including townhomes, could help to kickstart redevelopment in the area more broadly. And also adjacent to the market and at the main crossroads of the area is this iconic building that was most recently home to the Self-Help Credit Union, which is now vacant. And we think that a new active use for this building, similar to what happened up the road at Sherman Phoenix, could draw more people to the area. And we also think that it's important to look holistically at all the areas around this intersection and look for ways to improve the streetscape and add additional public spaces to complement the surrounding uses. And this, combined with the investments that are already underway across the street at the former Sears building, could really help establish an identity for the Marketplace District and really make the Marketplace District a regional destination. And lastly, the plan will recommend a new park in the 30th Street corridor on vacant land just north of North Avenue. We heard the importance of adding new park space that filled a need that was not currently being met. And one idea that rose to the top of that list was a dog park at this location. So this new public space could also be connected in the future to a future bike path along the rail corridor. So that was a whirlwind of information. I know many of you probably have questions and comments. I would encourage you to bring those up in the group discussions. We're gonna try to split up into different breakout rooms by neighborhood, and hopefully this will happen automatically. All of the slides that I showed will be visible in those group sessions. So